Yeah, really excited to be sitting down with Jacqueline Gotay. Jacqueline, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Lance, for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So we're trying to put the spotlight on the reality, that really vast universe of fostering and foster parenting, being a foster kid, talking to leaders of foster agencies. So we're trying to kind of do the gamut, and excited today to talk to you in the context of you're a foster parent. So you actually have kids that you're fostering. I don't know. I mean, this is kind of my first moment with you. I don't know if you're doing that with a husband. I don't know if you're doing that as a single mother.
So we're doing it as a family. So for
Okay.
us, it was very important to bring the whole family into it. My
Yeah.
husband and I and our two sons are doing it. So it all started, I'm going to say about 5 years ago. The Lord started putting foster care in my heart, and it was kind of just popping everywhere. Before my husband and I got married, we knew we wanted to adopt. Like, it's just a dream that I've had since I was a little girl. Like, I always knew that adoption was going to be part of my story. And so before we got married, I told my husband, hey, like, I have this dream to adopt. Like, are you on board? And he said, yeah, absolutely. So when foster care started popping up, is when we first moved to Reading. I told him, hey, like, I feel like fostering has been popping up on my heart a lot lately, and I wanted to see what you thought about that. And he was like, oh no. He's like, I said yes to adopting, but foster care is a whole nother ball game. So kind of took us on a journey of, I think, a couple, yeah, 2 to 3 years of just like praying into it. And I'm like, well, just, pray about it, consider it, bring it before the Lord, and we'll go from there. So here we are. We have been a foster family for 4 years now.
Okay.
So
And do you have biological children too, or are you solely fostering?
yeah, so we have a son, a biological son. He is 16, just turned 16
Okay.
last month. And our youngest, Judah, he's 4 years old. We actually foster adopted him.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah.
We'll talk about that process. So I mean, obviously the Lord's stirring something in you guys as a family. You're obedient to that, but what happens when you say yes? Like how easy is it? How difficult is it? What's the process like?
Yeah. So, yeah, first of all, we invited our oldest into that journey, like, hey, we're thinking about this. I feel like we're supposed to do it as a family. And are you on board? Because we felt like it was important. He had been a single child for 11 years at that point. And so I knew it would change the dynamic of our family. And we wanted to make sure that we valued his thoughts and how he felt about this. And yeah, we prayed about it as a family, and he was on board. So um, it was a really great experience. I must say that I've been really impressed with the county. We've been doing it through the county with we've had amazing social workers, really great support. Um, with our son, I must say that just the bonding experience, I guess, was different. Like when we brought him into our house, and once we found out that this was moving towards adoption, going through the process of just bonding took a lot of intentionality. It's different. I think when you host a baby for 9 months, and you kind of prepare yourself for that moment.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so I feel like it just took a lot of intentionality. Also, every kiddo comes with its own sets of challenges too. He was removed from his home because of substance abuse. So he was born with drugs in his system, and that caused, delays and things like that. So just inviting and getting support from the county, from Far Northern, which is one of the organizations here in Reading that helps kiddos that have delays, get up to speed and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a process of just inviting the community and getting support, like I said, from different agencies to help them develop when it came to, yeah, just motor skills and speech and a lot of things like that. But I'm happy to say that 4 years into it, he is like completely well adapted, healthy, happy boy.
Yeah. So you mentioned when you saw that it was heading towards adoption, what does that mean? Like, so you're talking to newbies, you're talking to people that may not be really in the space that you're in. So you
Yeah.
you say yes to fostering, you take a child that if you're working with the county or if you're working with a foster family agency, they connect you to this child, and not every child goes to adoption. So talk about that process. Like,
Yeah,
you know it's moving
absolutely.
towards adoption, or maybe you think it may not head towards adoption.
Yeah, so the first goal and purpose of fostering like is to reunify them with their parents. So that's kind of the thought that you go into it. Like, we're going to love you and care for you and protect you and advocate for you. But the ultimate goal is to get you back with your family, with your parents, to come along side even the family, and support them on this journey as they get ready to receive their child back into their home. And so, yeah, basically the parents just dropped off the face of the earth, just didn't show up to
Yeah.
visits anymore.
Yeah.
And, I would bring the baby and no one would show up. And they reached out to both sides of the families, relatives, and nobody was able to or willing to step forward to take him and, yeah, provide a permanent place for him. So that's
And
when we
it
were
sounds
like,
like you got him when he was an infant then. Like, how young was he?
yeah, he was 8 months old.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
that I would imagine there's like a range. You're getting kids that are older, you're getting kids that are younger, you're getting kids that are babies. How long is that process usually to kind of discovering, oh, the bio family really wants to be invested in the journey, or they don't? Does that take a few weeks, or is that more like a year or two long process? Or
Yeah, it takes a while. I would say between months for them to actually just contact everybody, and it can take up to years in some
yeah,
cases.
okay,
Um, yeah, so every case is very different.
yeah,
My family and I, we decided to start with the age group from 0 to 1
yeah,
to begin with, just because we felt like a baby would fit easiest into our family.
mm,
And yeah, like I said, it's case by case. I mean, there's times where I've heard stories of people having children for a year or two in their care, and all of a sudden a long lost uncle, aunt comes up and they say they want the baby. So
yeah,
family always gets first priority. If you are in any way related to the
mhm,
child, you get priority over a foster family, even if they've been in your care for a long period of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like that would be heart wrenching. Yeah. Talk about the impact on you guys as a family, like the positives of being foster parents. So again, you made a choice. I know I'm making an assumption it's not the easiest choice to make, because you know that with it comes a lot of investment and sacrifice, and maybe it disrupts your family, whatever. You guys made that choice, you're in. You've been fostering, it sounds like, for about 4 years or so now.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
And now you're adoptive, you're parents to your foster son. Talk about like how that's changed you guys, what's amazing about it, what you love, like, yeah,
Absolutely. It's been a super incredible experience. Like, it's been super rewarding. I
yeah,
feel like I think that a lot of it what you will experience depends on your family dynamic. Even for us, like having a child who's 11 years old, who's very independent, to fostering a little baby and now gaining a son, like that was the biggest adjustment, because our world just completely changed
wow,
to starting over again and raising, yeah, Judah. So I feel like that was the biggest adjustment. But once we got through that hump of like, oh, this is our new normal, we're in diapers and bottles again,
yeah,
I think that it got easier. And as we got really bonded and became a family, and we adopted him within a year, which was pretty fast.
Okay.
And that was because nobody else was coming forward. The process was pretty simple. And we just fostered a baby girl that went home. We fostered her last year, and she went home at the beginning of this year. And with her, I feel like it was a lot easier transition. Like we had already done it before,
Mm,
even though it was a completely different experience with her.
sure.
Um, it was really beautiful, actually. Like everybody just, it was very natural. We bonded really quickly. Everybody loved her. Like I actually developed a really good relationship with the parents, that was really neat and really cool. Even after she went home, me and mom text weekly. We got to see her regularly. We're planning her first birthday party together this Sunday. She turns 1,
Yeah.
and that's it's been an amazing experience. I feel like it's grown us closer as a family. Like it wasn't just like, oh, mom and dad are doing this. It's like everybody was involved. You know, our oldest would help with feedings and
Yeah.
helping her when I would help me when I'm cooking, you know, with the baby. And our youngest just adored her. It was like, that's my little sister, you know, and even now he calls, yeah, you know, my little sister. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that shift, like she's back with her family now, her biological family.
Yes.
Okay. So like the whole different story where the family was showing up and was doing the work and making adjustments. Yeah. Okay.
Completely different. So it's been cool, even with our journey with this last family. It's really easy to fall in love with these babies. You know, they're so little, they're so precious, you know, and sometimes when you see the parents making bad choices, you know, or kind of, you know, what led them here, it's like, it's harder. Like it's taken a lot of like prayer and intentionality to really love them. And something that I learned this way around, I'm like, oh, we're not only here for this child, like
Mm,
I want to be here for this family, you know, and how can I support them and help them on this journey? So just being mindful of that. And that led to a really great friendship. And even mom, you know, first time mom, she's young, like calling me or texting me like, hey, what do I do with this? Or so it's built like, yeah, this really neat relationship.
so you're still connected, it sounds like.
Very connected.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I like what do you think keeps people from fostering, like from crossing the line? Like you guys did it, you're doing it. What do you think it is?
I think fear, like
Uh-huh.
the most common thing, and I've heard a lot of people say, like, I've always thought about fostering. I've always like, you know, thought about doing it. And every time I'm like, well, why haven't you done it? It's like, I just feel like I couldn't taken a baby and then give it back would be so hard. Giving that baby back would be so hard and so painful.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it is hard. You know, it is hard because you completely and utterly fall in love with them. And I remember looking at my husband and telling him, like, how can I love this baby like within days, within a week, as much as I love the boys, as much as I love my own? Like, it just blows my mind, I told him, you know? And I think that you have to love them like fully, you know what I mean, to really give them a good home. You have to be fully willing to love them like hard, and knowing that I'm going to give this baby back at some point. And it does hurt when they leave, you know, it's hard. It's definitely an adjustment, but I would do it over and over again because it's so worth it. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about as I asked you that question, I was just thinking about your what you were describing about how it became very natural for your family to be participating, how now you're connected to another family, like the bio mom of the daughter that you were fostering. And like it sounds like the world's shrinking, but it's getting bigger when you say yes. And you're saying yes to loving. And maybe that's what keeps people. Like there's that fear of can I love that big? Is there space enough in my heart for that much love? I guess it would be a different reason for every person. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm just hearing you describe something that sounds so much like heaven. Like we're all connected, and it's not unnatural to
No,
love
not at
people.
all. It's very, like you said something that was so good. It sounds like heaven. When we brought this baby home, the minute we put her in our car, it was almost like I felt the presence of God just fall so strongly.
Wow.
Like, and she brought heaven, like just a deeper, like a tangible thing into our house. Like I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, I just felt heaven like draw near. And I felt the Lord's grace like so strongly with this last baby girl. I was starting that we got the call from her. It was a complete God story. Like we were supposed to go out of town that weekend. It was a Friday or Saturday. And we were supposed to leave really early. We got delayed, ended up leaving around noon. We are at the gas station about to get on the freeway, and we got the call like, we have a baby girl, it's the weekend, we need you to come and pick her up like ASAP. And I just looked at my husband and I was like, we have to go to Target just to get, some essentials, diapers and formula. And I just remember bringing her, like I said, into our car and then into our home, and just feeling God's grace so tangibly. I started school that Monday, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, Lord, like it was very unexpected, the timing of it all. Because I had just talked to the social worker a few weeks before that, because they check in on you like periodically, like how are you guys doing, and kind of like, are you still on this list and available? She's like, you guys have the most popular age range, which is the 0 to 1. Everybody wants the babies. And she's like, so you probably won't hear from us for a while. And then, a week later, we get this call, and I just felt the grace of the Lord so strongly, like very few times in my life during that season where I was fostering and going to school and juggling all the things. So it's
Well, that does sound like a prerequisite if there is one. Like you're willing and you're like, yeah, your life might get disrupted a little bit, but I hear you not talking about the disruptions. I hear you talking about the joys, like just how much life it added to your life and your husband's life and your son's lives. And yeah.
yeah, and even
Is
now,
there,
I feel like we've gained a whole new family with her family. Like we consider them family and they consider us family, and we've had the opportunity to even share Jesus with them. And when we went and dropped her off, that day when they got reunified, we got to pray with them as a family, pray for their family and their home. And I've gotten to share the word with mom and the
yeah,
power of prayer when she's scared about something. So it's been incredible and
yeah.
super rewarding.
Yeah, what do you say to that dynamic? I'm sure it's a thought in people's minds. Like how could I do that if they're not my bio kids? And will my bio kids feel slighted, or will my foster kids feel slighted because they're not my bio kids? Like, what do you say to that? Slighted's not the right word, but probably the better term would be like there's something uneven there. What?
Yeah.
How do you answer that?
Yeah, I think the first process is really inviting your children
Yeah,
into the process so that they feel they're a part of it. It's not like you're doing this, but we are doing this. And
yeah,
then they take ownership, almost like never, not once has either my oldest or my little felt like the baby was taking something away from them. It
yeah,
almost feels like they added something to our
yeah,
family. It never felt like I'm missing out because mom is busy with the
yeah,
baby, but like, oh, we're doing together. We're doing this together. And it's almost like we have made it almost like a part of a ministry as a family. Like, oh, we're serving these families, we're serving this baby, and we're doing it together. So it's actually been very beautiful. And the way that I've looked at it, I've treated these babies exactly the same way that I've cared for them and loved them. There's no difference. There's no difference between my biological or adopted or foster baby. I
yeah,
love them and care for them the same exact way.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
That's amazing. And I mean, I could just tell the greatness it pulls out of you and your kids. Like it kind of it invites a different level of living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond selfishness. And no, that's great. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and for anybody that's considering fostering or adopting, I would just say if you have the room in your home for more kiddos, if you have the room in your heart, like more love to give, do it. You won't regret it. Yeah, you won't regret it.
That's awesome. You're growing your family. I don't think anybody has any regrets around having more kids. Yeah,
No.
that's so good. Is there anything that you would encourage people in as they, if they're navigating the process, maybe they're already doing it, maybe they're considering doing it, regarding some of the challenges that are inherent, or like maybe naturally bump up against some things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that inviting community into your process, um, like emotionally and spiritually, asking for prayer, from friends and families, but also practically, like the first couple of weeks that I had a baby, my mom came and just cooked food for us for 2 weeks so that I didn't have to worry about, that aspect. And that was like a huge help, something as practical as dropping off a meal, even for a family that maybe, hey, I don't have the capacity right now to foster, but I can drop off a meal for this foster family that just got a new placement.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times, when someone has a new baby, everybody comes like, oh, new baby, like let's deliver food and do this and that. And in a sense, when you are fostering, it's almost like you're having a new baby. And I think that people don't think about it the same, but like something as simple as saying, hey, can I pick up something from the store for you? Or can I deliver a meal, especially in the first week or two where you're adjusting, your family is adjusting to a new normal. And if you have a newborn baby or an infant, you're up at night and stuff like that. That is super helpful. And I think that having really good communication with the social workers and asking for help, if kiddos have specific challenges, asking for support in those areas, and also being really patient and loving with the bio families. Like they're scared. A lot of them, most of them, if not all of them, are scared. And they think that you're trying to steal their baby essentially. So they're very angry at first, very defensive. So I feel like just being patient and really kind with them really pays off. And for example, with families, I take a lot of pictures of the babies, make an album for them. Something that I started was including a little journal every time we went on a visit. I would write down what the baby was doing that week and make little notes so they don't feel like they're completely missing out. And they know, like, oh, the baby is, laughing now and playing, or they tried this new food today and they loved it. And that little journal became so special. Like mom would tell me, like, thank you so much, for giving us a glimpse into what is going on, in her life. And then they could write back, and they would write back, anything that they wanted. And that really started to develop a relationship through that process. And building that little book and putting it, the picture book, in the little diaper bag when I dropped her off, they enjoyed seeing those pictures. Like they saw that she was well taken care of and loved. And I wasn't trying to steal their baby. I was actually inviting them into the process. And I think that brought down like the defenses and, made a way for us to develop a good friendship.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But again, that embodies sounds like your outlook on life. Like you're living really open-hearted and really generously. And so you're including the family in the ministry that you've taken on. Like when you're saying yes to a child, you're saying yes to their family. And I wonder if that would be everybody's outlook going into it. What a great example. Wow, so pretty exciting. So in about a 4-year journey, you've had a couple children.
Mm-hmm.
One you adopted, another you had for a period of time, and they're with their bio family. Are you still on a list to be called, or I don't know?
Yeah.
Is there like a point when you're like, I guess it would be everybody's journey. but I'm sure some people can be like, okay, we're done now. But is your guys' journey going to continue in this, or what are you thinking? Obviously, you're parenting your children, so yes, your journey is continuing. I mean, with receiving other children potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we feel like we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of our life now, and we're just excited. We're on the list and just waiting for that call.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. This is really inspiring talking to you. It sounds like you guys are definitely an example. I'm sure the professional world of foster care wants more people like yourselves, you and your husband and your two sons. Is that probably the bigger need, that there just are not enough resource families or foster carers?
Yeah, there is a big need, especially here in Shasta County. There's a lot of foster children, and especially as they get older, people are more reluctant to take older kids, because they come with behavioral problems and emotional problems, and you really kind of have to be in the right season and have the right like mental capacity to invite that into your home. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely a need, especially for older children. But I feel like you kind of have to look at your life and the ages of you. If you have biological children, look at their ages
Yeah.
and the space that you have in your home and say like, what, how would this work? How would an older child work, or potentially someone that has certain behavioral issues, impact like my children and my family life. So I think that you have to be in the right season. For example, for us, it's very important to keep like the birth order. That's just something that we decided. So it's like when a baby comes, they have to be younger than our 4-year-old so that everybody still has their place and they feel like, I don't know, for me, it was important for my children to feel like I still have my place and I get to help and care for this baby. I feel like that's worked really well for our family in the season. But my husband and I have talked about once our kids are grown and out of the house, like we would love to foster teenagers because they're the ones that, people are more reluctant to
Mm,
receive into their home. Um,
yeah.
and a lot of the times they age out of the foster care system and they still don't have families and they keep going into these negative cycles. They don't have a family to come home for Christmas or Thanksgiving, or to keep an eye out on them, to keep in touch with them, and they end up in very similar and negative cycles as their parents. So that's something that we would like to do in the future.
Yeah. Well, that's a really strong insight though about the birth order, and so your family can take ownership and feels like they're contributing versus things are kind of being like they have to succumb to something, this major change. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
and
sounds
and
really
that was
good.
a personal decision that we made, just by reading books and praying and just thinking about what would work really well with our family dynamic in this season. So I feel like that's important. I read something that most people who think about foster care or are thinking about it usually take about 2 to 3 years to kind of research and plan and think about it. So I would
Huh.
just say for anybody that's even considered foster care, to start by reading books and asking people who have done it before, and
Yeah.
doing your research, because it takes time to decide what exactly you want to do, how do you want to do it, and figure out what organization, because there's private organizations that you can work with, or you can go through the county. So lots of different options, but I would say just start by doing research and reaching out to different organizations and reading books.
That's great. Any resources you'd recommend there? I don't know if there's been anything that's like really impacted you in the realm of
I
reading.
just Yeah, I honestly just went on Google and just looked up, fostering blogs and articles, and yeah, just read a little bit of everything. I don't have a specific
Sure.
book, and also talk to parents who have done it. So there's with a private company, that does a foster organization. The perk that you have there is that you get added more support. There's more resources and more support. And at the same time, you have more visits. So not only do you, because you'll still have the county involved, you'll have like double the visits. So you'll have a social worker from the organization and also the social worker from the county. So
Okay.
it depends, like how many, because yeah, how many people do you want in your house? How often do you want people coming over? You know, so I found I've been very happy with the county. Like I said, have had really great social workers, and it's worked really well for us. But I know other families that have gone through organizations and have also had a very positive experience.
Sure. And so is this correct? Like you have the county as essentially like the umbrella over like foster family agencies, but you can go to the county to become an adoptive parent or a foster parent just as well as you can go to the different foster family agencies.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Any kind of parting thoughts? Anything that you haven't been able to articulate because I didn't lead you there, and it's in your mind as we're talking about foster care and your children, and this has been really insightful, super inspiring for me. I think if any of our listeners are hanging out on this moment, they're gonna feel encouraged to jump in. Like this feels so positive and inviting. Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad. What would I like to say? Um, we covered a lot of it. I would say that if you're thinking about it, pray about it, and do something, because not everybody can be a foster family. That's just reality, right? Not everybody um, can do that, but we can all do something. So even if you can't per se be a foster family, um, like I said, everybody can deliver a meal to our family, or anybody can donate. So um, something that's really beautiful, it's like the baby was having some digestive issues, and I posted on one of my mom groups just asking for advice on what to do as far as milk and stuff like that. And a lady that I don't even know personally was just like, I want to bless your family with, something for the baby. She's like, can you give me your address? And she sent us a huge box of diapers for like 2 months and baby clothes. And that just like touched my heart so deeply, because we felt like, oh, like we're not doing this alone. There's actually a community that wants to support us and love us, and something so practical as diapers for 2 months was such a huge blessing for our family.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, anybody can do, we can all do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
cool. That's a great word. And where would people go to start the process? Like they're going to do research and probably make a ton of discoveries there, but maybe somebody's listening to this interview is like, oh, sign me up, and I live in some place in Arizona. Like what would they do?
Yeah, just go to your local foster care agency and say, I want to be a foster family. We'll give you a packet to fill out. You'll fill out, a whole application. You'll get background checked. Your whole family will get interviewed, and your house will have to be inspected, because there's certain rules and things that you have to abide by. And it's honestly a really fairly easy process. Like I think it took us maybe a few weeks to a month to get our home certified from beginning to end.
Okay.
So yeah, so just start with the application
Yeah,
and go from there.
that sounds pretty simple. I've heard a story quite contrary to that, so it's really good to hear from somebody who's doing it. And everything you're saying is like, oh, it's not crazy. It's pretty
No,
doable, people.
it really was very easy. Like I said, it's like an application, and everybody from the person who came to inspect our home to the person doing the interview was incredible. Like
Yeah,
just amazing people, like, and a very easy process.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Wow. Well, thanks again for sharing your story. Like for being vulnerable and kind of breaking that open with us. Sounds like you guys are having a good time with your expanding family.
Yeah, we truly are.
Well, well done. Thanks for hanging out with us here and taking a few minutes. And again, we'll continue doing excuse me, we'll continue doing interviews in this vein. The next probably 3 or 4 people I sit down will be talking about fostering and adoption and the system itself. And our hope is that this all moves in the direction of other people showing up in ways that they're feeling convinced and called to. So, everybody playing their part. So it's
That's
good to spend
awesome,
time with you,
man.
Jacqueline. Bless you. Say hello to your kids, your husband, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to looking and hearing the other interviews. That would be super
Absolutely.
fun. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.